Today's t-shirt is more cowbell. Tuna and the Rock Cats. The Rock Cats are a group of trained cats who do tricks on stage. If you ever get a chance to see them, I highly recommend it. Sometimes they go by the name Acro Cats. I went and saw them. It was great. And if you are a Patreon supporter of mine, you can go right now, today, this minute, and listen to the very first episode of my new Letters to a Dead Friend About Zen podcast. And I will try to put a new episode up every 2 weeks, and I will give them to the Patreon supporters first as a thank you for all your kind support. Thank you for your kind support. And then they will go to the general public a few days later. I haven't figured out how to put those up to the general public yet, so that's one of the reasons it's going to Patreon first. But I'd always planned to have Patreon get a jump on this thing first as a thank you to the Patreon supporters. So there you go. Go look at it. Or listen to it. The last episode of this video blog, or the YouTube thing, whatever that you call this thing that you're looking at now, I talked about climate change and what Buddhists could do about climate change. And I got some good response from that, so I think most of my listeners got it. There's a few who didn't. Some of them wrote to me directly and some of them didn't. Some of them put thumbs down on the video. And by the way, give me a thumbs up on this video. I think that actually helps it get traction or something. So I do appreciate those thumbs upses. I never really say that, but I think it helps. Anyhow, some people were saying, oh my God, we've only got 12 years left. We're all going to die. I don't understand why you're not freaking out about this. There's a few reasons, and I'm gonna try to get into them in this video. And unlike the previous video, I didn't write this down beforehand, so if it comes out a little scattershot, I apologize. There are studies, and I've looked at them, that say we've only got 12 years left, and there's different predictions about a 1.5 degrees Celsius increase and a 2 degrees Celsius increase, and what this means and what this doesn't mean, and all sorts of things. And you know, you can choose to believe them, or you can choose not to believe them. My own position, if you want to know just for my, Brad Warner position, is you can just see it yourself that we're doing a lot to this planet. The human race has taken things out of the earth, turned them into other things, and then put them back into the earth and threw them into the sky and threw them into the ocean. There's a lot of pollution. There's a lot of stuff. So I don't have any problem believing that it could become a catastrophic thing. So I'm not a denier of it. I am a bit skeptical because you can find articles that say we're all doomed and we're all going to die, and you can find articles that say no, we're not all going to die, things aren't as bad as that. And you can go, oh well, the ones that say it's not that bad, they're all funded by Exxon, but I don't think they're all funded by Exxon. Or you can go, oh, the ones that say we're doomed, they're all funded by the Socialist Workers' Party, or whoever they're blaming for those. And I go, no, they probably aren't either. I think probably there are sincere voices on both sides who are looking at the data and interpreting it differently. I tend to think it's probably going to be a big mess that we're going to have to deal with. The thing is, how do you react to that? That's my question. And one of the things that this sort of brings to mind is last weekend I went on the Haunted Hayride in Los Angeles at Griffith Park. It was fun. It was too much money, so I would say they better bring that price down or I don't think I'm going to go again, but it was fun. And yesterday I watched with my girlfriend the movie, what's it called? Cabin in the Woods. Real good horror movie. And because it's Halloween season, horror movies and horror themed things are all over. So if you walk through like your neighborhood drugstore or anywhere, you're going to see like skulls and rotting flesh and really gross, gruesome things. And if you turn on your Netflix subscription, it'll be recommending all these horrible things to you. And it's kind of fascinating because people like to be scared. It's just a fact. And if you actually think about what you're looking at Walgreens, in the checkout stand, and it's a skull, maybe even a skull with blood and rotting flesh, you're looking at death. You're looking at death, and death is scary. So we as a species may or may not be doomed, but we as individuals know for a fact that we're all doomed. You're gonna die, I'm gonna die, we're all gonna die, and nobody knows quite what's gonna happen after that, if anything happens, and so people have all sorts of reactions to that, and this is the business that I am in. I got into this business because I was scared of death, and I've told this story many times. I'll tell it again. When I was about 16 years old, or maybe 14 or 15, I'm not sure, my parents sat me down and told me that there is a horrible genetic disease in our family. And by that time, 2 of my aunts had started showing symptoms, and my mom was, she wasn't quite showing symptoms yet, but there was some fear that some of the things that were happening were indications that she was getting this disease, and sure enough she did, and she died from it, and it was nasty. So, I grew up around this, from my teenage years and on, I am living with seeing my aunts who were older than my mom deteriorating, and after a while seeing my own mother deteriorating, and this disease strikes people usually in their mid-30s to mid-40s. I'm in my mid-50s now. I haven't shown any symptoms, so that's a good sign, but it doesn't mean I'm completely out of the woods. It just means if I do have it, I am kind of outside the statistical curve, and it's also kind of possible that I don't have it because I haven't shown symptoms. But the thing is, I got into Buddhism with this hanging over my head. So you guys who have the possibility of in 12 years the world is going to end with volcanoes and mega storms and flooding and whatever they're telling you on the news that's going to happen. So you guys have got that. Some of you listening out there in the audience have got that. Well, I had slow nerve degeneration by the time I was younger than I am now, until I just end up in a bed not being able to move or clean myself or do anything, and then just die. So I've lived with this horror of doom for quite a while, and I have a bit of experience with it. So what I was trying to talk about in that previous video was in a lot of ways related to my own experience of that. And what I found is that freaking out about it doesn't help. I did that. You better believe I did that. And it didn't help anything. It just made me crazier. And becoming a hedonist, I tried a little bit of that. We won't talk about that. But that didn't work either. That just made me miserable. There's all sorts of responses one has to one's own impending doom, especially if it looks like it's going to be pretty bad, which mine definitely did. And the thing that I found was Zazen. I found it quite early on, and I don't think I realized how much good it did me until a few years into the process. So when I first started, in my conscious mind, I was thinking about the existential problem of what is the meaning of life, and how can I have enlightenment, or, I don't know what I was thinking, and how can I just have my brain be less fuzzy than it is. But in the back, submerged in this, is like, what do I do about my impending doom? And it turned out Zazen was a good thing, because in the practice of Zazen, you sit very, very quietly and watch everything come up. So things come up, all kinds of things come up. And some of them are quite scary. If you have only done it for a little while, you're probably only used to the boredom aspect of Zen. But go on a few retreats, sit a few sessions and things, and the scary stuff will start to come out. And you are instructed, if you have a good teacher, to just sit with even that. And that has really helped. And as far as climate change and all of these other things go, I think what we have to realize is that there's not a whole lot we as individuals can do. We can vote, we can protest if we want, we can write to our Congress people, we can recycle, there's all sorts of things you can do. But if doom is coming in 12 years, like AOC and some other people have been saying, then, that's where it goes. And you're in the same boat that I was in when I was 16 years old, going, doom is coming in 18 years or 15 years. Actually, that's kind of what I was looking at, by mid-30s, so 50, if I was 18. Well, anyway, you do the math. I was figuring that my doom was about as close as you guys who believe that climate change is going to destroy us all in 12 years believe it is. So you're looking at the same thing. And my recommendation, just based on my own experience, is get into this practice of Zazen, see where it goes for you. I think it's been really good for dealing with this stuff, and I cannot think of anything better. So there you go. That's my message. As I said at the beginning, sort of, PayPal and Patreon links are below if you want to support me and keep me from being doomed by hunger before the climate change gets me, or disease or whatever, or getting run over by a bus or cancer or who knows what. I really do appreciate your support. Go listen to that podcast if you're a Patreon member, and it'll be up for the rest of the world in, I hope, by next week. We'll see. I'm working on figuring out how to put it up. And that's it. See you later. Hope you're well. Bye-bye.